Chosen one. Pause for a moment. Heaven has hushed every echo of the earth to whisper this message directly to you. The noise of your life, every voice that has demanded your attention now fades. Because the Creator of the universe is speaking, you are not scrolling by chance. You have been summoned into a divine moment where eternity bends low to meet your breath. Listen carefully. For the Lord does not often interrupt time this way. When He does, it means something is about to shift within you, around you, and through you. You have felt it, haven't you? That subtle stirring inside your spirit, like a flame refusing to die even when drenched in rain. That is heaven's pulse beating in rhythm with yours. You were never random, never forgotten, never one of the many. You are the one God paused everything to reach right now. You've walked through storms no one saw. You've smiled through pain that could have destroyed another. You've been quiet when others shouted, faithful when others fled. And even though you've questioned your worth, heaven never did. God marked you long before you were misunderstood. He has been waiting for this moment when your heart is tender enough, your ears open enough to finally hear Him say, I chose you. The enemy has tried to convince you that your silence was failure, that your delays were punishment, but heaven calls them preparation. Every hidden season was a forge where your endurance was refined. Every lonely night was a divine classroom where God taught you how to depend on Him. Not applause. You were not overlooked. You were being observed by heaven itself. Beloved, you have felt unseen, but you have never been unknown. Every sigh, every tear, every unspoken prayer has risen like incense before the throne. Even now, heaven remembers the exact moment your heart broke and the day you almost gave up. And yet, you did not. You stood. You held on. That is why you are hearing this. Because the time of stillness is ending, and the time of revelation is beginning. Something divine happens when heaven pauses. It means the scroll of your destiny is being unsealed. God is ready to reveal what He wrote about you before you ever breathed your first breath. You are not behind. You are right on time. The waiting was not wasted. It was the womb of your next season. This message is your confirmation. The prayers you whispered in the dark, they were heard. The doors that stayed shut, they were locked to protect you, not to punish you. The confusion that clouded your path, it was God's mercy delaying what would have destroyed you. You are stepping into a season where what made no sense will suddenly make perfect sense. Beloved chosen one, lift your head. The King has entered the room of your life. He comes not with condemnation, but with commissioning. He comes to remind you of who you are. You are not the sum of your failures. You are the fulfillment of a prophecy written long before you knew your name. Heaven has always known you. You are the one He left the 99 to find. As was spoken in the sacred writings of Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you. That is your promise, your reminder, your resurrection call. The strength you thought was gone is about to return. The wings you thought were broken are about to spread. You are entering a season where you will no longer crawl, you will fly. That is your promise, your reminder, your resurrection call. The strength you thought was gone is about to return. The wings you thought were broken are about to spread. You are entering a season where you will no longer crawl, you will fly. And as you rise, chains will fall, fear will flee, and every lie spoken over your destiny will lose its power, because heaven itself now bears witness that you have been chosen, sealed, and set apart for glory. So take this as a sacred assignment. If this word has stirred something deep inside your spirit, do not let it fade. Comment 777 below as a prophetic act, your sign of agreement that you receive this word. And if your heart bears witness that this message was meant for you, like, share, and subscribe so that the word continues to reach every other chosen one still wandering in the noise. Heaven paused for you. Now, pause for heaven. The story is only beginning. You were not an accident. Before the foundations of the world were laid, before light first kissed the surface of the deep, your name was already written in the heart of God. You came into existence not by chance, not by coincidence, but by divine intention. Every breath you take, every heartbeat that sustains you, echoes the rhythm of heaven's design. There was a meeting in eternity where God himself spoke your existence into being, and the universe responded with obedience. Beloved, chosen one. The world may have called you unexpected, unplanned, or even unwanted, but heaven never did. You were foreseen. You were desired. You were crafted with precision. When your life began, it was not the beginning of your story. It was merely the unfolding of something heaven had already finished. God saw your victories, your scars, your tears, and your triumphs all at once, and he said, "Yes, this one is mine." Beloved, remember those moments when you questioned, why me? Why the loneliness, the early losses, the strange burdens on your heart? It's because the divine fingerprints on your life made you a target for both heaven's favor and hell's resistance. You were marked by the Creator to carry something this world cannot understand, and that mark made you noticeable to the unseen realms. The enemy saw potential long before you did. He recognized the light that would one day burn through your eyes, and he tried to extinguish it in your youth. Every storm that rose against you, every betrayal, every wound, it was never just about pain. It was about purpose. Darkness only fights what threatens it. And you, beloved, have always been a threat to the darkness. You carry a presence that unsettles mediocrity. You are a walking reminder that God still chooses vessels made of dust to carry eternal glory. You've wondered why the weight of life feels heavier for you than for others. It's because your calling carries more gravity. Ordinary souls are not built for extraordinary assignments. The shaking around you has only revealed what is unshakable within you. When God designed you, He did not consult the world's opinion. He placed eternity in your DNA. There is a spiritual signature inside you that calls you higher, that refuses to settle for the ordinary. And when you drift too far, heaven pulls you back through conviction, through signs, through that unexplainable feeling that says, "There's more." That's not guilt, it's grace reminding you who you are. Beloved chosen one, the confusion you've carried about your identity is breaking now. You've believed lies spoken by wounded people who couldn't see your divine design. But the truth remains, you were formed intentionally, with power, purpose, and prophecy. Heaven's eyes have been fixed on you since the beginning. The same hands that painted the galaxies shaped you with tenderness and authority. There is no part of your story that escaped his sight. Even the chapters you wish could be erased have become part of your redemption. Every scar you carry is a testimony that the enemy tried but failed to cancel what God ordained. You are not damaged goods. You are divine evidence that grace prevails. You are not forgotten. You are favored beyond recognition. The calling over your life was never fragile. It was forged in the fire of eternity. You've survived things that should have destroyed you. And that survival is not coincidence, it's confirmation. God has preserved you for a reason that is about to be revealed. The world is about to see what heaven has known all along. You are a chosen vessel, a carrier of divine fire. As the apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 10, "For we are God's masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Let those words settle deep into your spirit. You are his masterpiece, crafted with foresight, not trial and error. You were created in advance for the work you are now stepping into. That is why some doors wouldn't open. They weren't designed for your divine blueprint. That is why some seasons felt endless. They were part of your construction, not your conclusion. Beloved, you are walking proof that divine design still triumphs over human doubt. You are here because God willed it, spoke it, sustained it, and protected it. No human voice, no curse, no rejection can undo what heaven has established. The timing of your emergence is not late. It is perfectly synchronized with God's plan. So walk boldly. Chosen one. The world didn't create you. It cannot define you. The same voice that spoke light into darkness is still speaking over you. And when he speaks, the universe obeys. Chosen one. You have fought silent battles that few would believe. Behind the calm of your face and the steadiness of your walk lies a war that raged unseen. The world saw your posture, but never your pain. It saw your composure, but not your cries. There were nights when sleep would not come, and mornings when your heart felt heavier than your body could bear. Yet somehow, you rose. You carried on. You kept moving when no one applauded, when no one even noticed. Heaven noticed. Every moment you whispered, "God, I can't do this anymore." The angels took record. You were never invisible to heaven. You were seen, heard, and held, even when you didn't feel it. The sleepless nights you thought were wasted became altars where heaven drew near. Every tear you shed was a seed of future strength. Beloved, you thought those moments of breaking were the end, but they were actually the beginning. The pain that pressed against your soul was the same pressure that was shaping you. You were being stretched for greater capacity. You were being taught endurance in secret so that you could carry glory in public. Do you remember those times when you smiled just to keep others from worrying? The times you hid your exhaustion behind small talk? That strength, though unnoticed by the world, became sacred to God. Every moment you chose faith instead of bitterness, forgiveness instead of revenge. Heaven celebrated. You did not fail when you cried. You triumphed when you didn't quit. There were nights when your prayers felt like they were hitting the ceiling. You asked, "God, where are you?" And yet, he was closer than ever, silent. Yes, but never absent. The silence was his way of building your spiritual muscles. The more you pressed through without seeing results, the more your faith was refined. You were learning to trust the character of God, when you could not trace his hand. You see, the chosen ones are not shaped by comfort. They are forged in the fires of hidden pain. You were not meant to crumble beneath the weight. You were meant to emerge, refined by it. Every hardship became a divine classroom. Every disappointment, a lesson in dependence. You were learning that faith is not a feeling, it's a decision. Beloved chosen one, the pain that tried to end you has only deepened you. You now carry wisdom that cannot be taught, only lived. You know the language of heartbreak, the sound of silence, and the texture of loneliness. But out of all that suffering, a strange beauty has risen, an unshakable peace, a deeper compassion, a stronger fear. And here's the truth you must hold on to. None of it was wasted. Not one tear, not one lonely walk, not one unanswered prayer. Every moment was seen and recorded by the one who never slumbers. You may not understand why you had to go through so much, but heaven knows, and one day, so will you. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 56, verse 8, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." What a breathtaking truth that not even your tears were overlooked. God valued every one of them enough to preserve them in His memory. The world moves on quickly, but heaven remembers deeply. Beloved, the very battles that once tried to destroy you have become proof of your endurance. You stand now not as a victim of pain, but as a survivor of purpose. You are living testimony that brokenness can still birth beauty. The fact that you are still breathing, still believing, still listening to this message is the evidence that God's hand never left you. And right now, this is your moment to respond, to anchor this truth in your spirit and declare that pain will no longer define you. I want you to pause, breathe, and type these simple words in the comments. I am healed. Say it. Not just as a phrase, but as a prophetic declaration over your own soul. Type it as a sign that you're choosing healing over hurt, wholeness over hiding. As you write those words, imagine every scar beginning to shine with purpose. Every broken piece is finding its meaning. You are not what happened to you. You are what God is doing through you. So stand tall. Beloved, you have survived what many could not. The same hands that caught your tears are now lifting your chin. The same God who counted your sorrows is now counting your victories. What once felt like the end is only the preparation for the glory to come. The storms have shaped you, but they did not steal you. The fire has refined you, but it did not consume you. You are proof that endurance is beautiful and that pain cannot silence purpose. Heaven has recorded every moment, and today, heaven celebrates that you endured. Chosen one, you are beginning to understand something that once confused you: the rejections, the closed doors. The sudden endings were never about loss, they were divine protection. You were never being pushed away, you were being preserved. Heaven was guarding something sacred inside you that could not be exposed too early. Every no you heard, every friendship that faded, every opportunity that vanished, those were not signs of failure, but signs of favor. You see, when God marks someone for a divine purpose, He does not allow just anyone or anything to shape them. He hides them. You were hidden not because you were unworthy, but because you were unfinished. Like a seed beneath the soil, your potential had to remain unseen while it took root. Visibility without foundation leads to collapse. And God loves you too much to let you bloom before you're ready. There were moments when you cried, "Why can't I just be normal?" And the answer, though painful, has always been the same. You were not created to be normal. You were created to be marked, to carry something that demands discipline, purity, and solitude. What others call loneliness, heaven calls preparation. What others call rejection, heaven calls redirection. Do you remember the friendships that ended without explanation? The doors that seemed to close right when you thought breakthrough was near? Those were heaven's boundaries protecting your destiny. Sometimes, God will offend your emotions to preserve your anointing. He will take people away, not because they were bad, but because they could not go where you're headed. Not everyone can handle the oil that's on your life. The pressure you've felt, the longing for companionship, the aching silence, these have all been divine tools shaping your heart. The chosen are not built in crowds, they are carved in caves. You were never meant to find comfort in the approval of many, but in the presence of one. God was removing distractions so you could learn His voice without distortion. Beloved, this is why you couldn't blend in. The conversations that once entertained you now drain you. The habits that once satisfied you now feel empty. That is the mark of transformation. God is removing the appetite for what once distracted you. He's preparing you to carry revelation that demands purity of spirit and clarity of vision. And though it has been painful, though you have questioned the process, heaven smiles because the separation was successful. You are no longer bound by the need to be seen or validated. You are learning the sacred art of being hidden. You are becoming comfortable with being misunderstood because your purpose no longer depends on being explained. Beloved, chosen one. It takes courage to remain faithful when you don't feel favored. But that is exactly what you have done. You stayed. Even when you didn't understand, you believed. Even when you couldn't see. And because you did, heaven now prepares to reveal what all this separation was for. The silence was never the end. It was the incubation. You were marked not to blend in, but to break patterns. Your life will not mirror the lives of those around you because your assignment is different. You are called to walk in a rhythm that others won't comprehend. That's not pride, it's purpose. And once you accept it, peace follows. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. No, those words were not only for Jeremiah, they echo over every chosen one. Before you were even shaped, God already knew your mission. Before your first breath, He appointed your purpose. You are not searching for meaning. You are walking toward what has already been written. So, beloved, take heart. What felt like rejection was merely redirection. What felt like loss was actually leading to preservation. You are marked for purpose, and that mark will speak for itself in time. You will understand why some people couldn't go with you and why some dreams had to die. It was all part of heaven's design to keep you pure, focused, and ready. You are not behind. You are hidden in plain sight. And when the time is right, God Himself will reveal what He has been cultivating in secret. The world will call it sudden, but heaven will know it was always scheduled. Chosen one, the weight you've carried has never been ordinary. It has pressed upon your shoulders like an invisible mantle, one you didn't ask for, yet one heaven entrusted to you. You have felt the pressure in your bones, the exhaustion in your spirit, and sometimes you've wondered, why does it feel so heavy to simply exist? But what you call heaviness, heaven calls holiness. What feels like a burden is, in truth, the evidence of divine oil resting on your life. Oil doesn't flow without crushing. The olive must be pressed before it releases what's hidden inside. The same is true of you. Every moment of pain, every disappointment, every trial has been a pressing, a sacred process where God has been producing something precious within you. You have not been punished. You have been processed. You've been crushed, not to destroy you, but to release the fragrance of heaven through you. You are carrying something others can sense, but cannot name. When you walk into a room, the atmosphere changes, not because of what you've achieved, but because of what you've endured. You carry an aroma that speaks of survival, of quiet strength, of faith refined in fire. You carry the evidence of intimacy with God, the kind that only comes through tears, patience, and surrender. Beloved, I know the journey has felt unfair at times. You've watched others move ahead easily while you labored in silence. You've seen doors open for people who didn't seem as faithful or sincere. But hear this truth: you are not being delayed, you are being deepened. God is building roots before He releases fruit. The deeper the root, the stronger the tree when storms come. And oh, how the storms have come. Winds of doubt, rainfalls of rejection. Yet here you stand, bent, maybe, but not broken, scarred, perhaps, but still sacred. What you've endured has given your spirit a gravity that shallow waters will never understand. The Word of God declares in the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Oh, that verse isn't minimizing your pain, it's magnifying your purpose. It's reminding you that there is glory on the other side of the weight. The heaviness you feel is a divine scale tipping toward eternal reward. Every hardship is adding weight to your crown. Sometimes, carrying this anointing feels like walking through a valley with fire on both sides. You feel the heat, but it does not consume you. Instead, it refines you. You're becoming gold, untarnished, unshakeable, pure. And soon, the same fire that tried to burn you will become the light that reveals you. Beloved, chosen one, you are like a lighthouse built on stormy cliffs. The waves crash, the winds roar, yet your light keeps shining for others to find their way home. You might not even realize it, but people are watching your endurance, your peace, your faith. You are teaching others how to survive storms without losing light. Sometimes, it's the way you keep going that preaches louder than words. You are a living sermon of perseverance. And while the world chases fame, heaven records faithfulness. God is proud of you, not for being perfect, but for not giving up. And because this word finds you today, I want to ask something, not as a command, but as an act of connection. If this message has found a home in your heart, if something in these words feels like water to your weary soul, then I invite you to gently help it reach another soul who needs it. When you like, share, or subscribe, it's not just a digital action, it's a ripple of light. It's like passing a torch in the dark, ensuring that someone else, somewhere, sees a glimmer of hope before they give up. Imagine a candle, lighting another, no flame is lost. Yet the world grows brighter. That is what you do when you help these messages reach the unseen hearts, scrolling in silence, searching for a sign from heaven. You never know whose midnight this light might touch. So, beloved, keep standing under the weight. It is not crushing you, it is crowning you. The oil is being produced, and soon it will pour. You will stand before others, not with pride, but with peace, not saying, "Look what I've done," but "Look what God carried me through." Every tear you shed has watered a future harvest. Every battle you fought has trained your hands for miracles. You are walking proof that divine pressure produces eternal purpose, and soon, what you carry will overflow. Beloved, chosen one, remember this: even when it feels heavy, heaven is still holding you. The same God who allowed the pressing will ensure the pouring, and when the oil flows, you'll understand it was never a burden. It was always preparation for glory. Chosen one, you remember the silence, don't you? Those long nights when heaven seemed to have closed its mouth, when prayers went unanswered and the air felt too still, too thick, too empty. You looked for signs, for whispers, for anything, and there was nothing. You asked, "God, where are you?" And the echo came back hollow. It wasn't rebellion that brought the silence. It was refinement. When God goes silent, it is not because he has left. It is because he is teaching you to hear him in deeper ways. He withdraws the comfort of noise so that you may discern his presence beyond words. In the silence, you learn what trust truly means. You learn to lean, not on the feeling of faith, but on the fact of his faithfulness. The silence was never abandonment. It was invitation. It was heaven saying, "Come higher. Listen closer." You see, the voice of God isn't always thunder and revelation. Sometimes it's the quiet wind brushing through your spirit, asking you to trust without proof. You were being trained to recognize him even when he whispers. Think of a teacher who stops speaking during a test. The silence doesn't mean the teacher is gone, it means the test is active. So it was with you. Heaven's silence was not disinterest, it was divine testing. You were being examined not to fail, but to prove your faith under pressure. The silence exposed what still needed strengthening. Beloved, it is in those silent seasons that God hides his loudest miracles. Seeds don't make noise when they grow underground. Caterpillars make no sound as they turn into butterflies. Likewise, heaven's greatest transformations are often cloaked in stillness. What looked like inactivity was sacred activity, unseen by human eyes. Do you remember how you wrestled with doubt, how you feared you'd somehow missed his will? Yet even in those moments, the Spirit was hovering over your chaos, shaping something within you that words could not describe. You were being molded into someone who no longer needs proof to believe. And now, looking back, you can sense it. The silence wasn't empty after all. It was full of purpose, full of preparation. God was stretching your patience, deepening your discernment, building a resilience that only silence can teach. Heaven speaks clearly through the words recorded in the Book of Lamentations. Chapter 3, verse 26. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. Quiet waiting. It sounds gentle, but it is one of the hardest acts of faith. Because silence demande surrender. It demands that you stop trying to control outcomes and start trusting the unseen hand that still guides everything. And when you do, something powerful shifts. The panic turns to peace. The uncertainty turns to expectancy. Beloved, chosen one, you have matured through that silence. You no longer need constant signs to know He is near. You now recognize His presence in subtle moments, in the calm after your tears, in the strength you didn't know you had, in the way your heart still beats with hope after disappointment. That is the evidence that He was there all along. The silence taught you to anchor your faith in who He is, not in what He does. That is why you can now stand unshaken even when life trembles around you. You have learned that God's quiet does not mean His absence. It means His confidence in your growth. He trusted you with silence because He knew you would not walk away. Beloved, the silence has ended. You are stepping into a season where heaven begins to speak again, through people, through visions, through the stirring of your own spirit. But this time, you will listen differently. You will hear not only His voice, but His tone. You will understand not only His words, but His ways. You will no longer fear the quiet, because you have learned that even in silence, He is still speaking. And now, as a prophetic act of faith and remembrance, write this number in the comments: 555. It is not superstition, it is symbolism. 5 is the number of grace. And today, heaven releases triple grace over your life. The grace to wait without fear, the grace to endure without bitterness, the grace to rise renewed when the silence lifts. Type it as a declaration. Grace carried me through. Let the world see that silence did not silence you. You are still standing, still believing, still listening for the next whisper from heaven. Beloved, chosen one, the stillness was your training ground, and you have graduated. You are now fluent in the language of silence, the sacred dialect of trust, and because you endured without sound, you are now ready to speak with authority. The words that will come from your mouth in this next season will carry power, healing, and revelation. The silence was never empty, it was sacred. And now, heaven is about to fill it with sound once more. Chosen one. Before you ever saw your reflection clearly, the enemy already saw the light in you. Long before you understood your worth, darkness recognized your potential. You have been attacked, not because you were weak, but because you were dangerous. The enemy knew that if you ever discovered who you truly are, you would become unstoppable. This is why the warfare began early, before your voice found its strength, before your feet learned stability. You were marked by opposition. There were moments in your childhood, in your youth, even in the innocent corners of your dreams, where strange resistance appeared. It wasn't coincidence, it was recognition. Hell saw your assignment and tried to abort it before you could carry it to term. Beloved, understand this. You were not fighting random storms. You were facing targeted strategies meant to distract, discourage, and destroy you before you discovered destiny. But you made it, despite the whispers of unworthiness, despite the betrayal, despite the internal storms that threatened to consume your peace. You made it through. You walked out of the fire carrying not only scars but proof that you are chosen. The enemy never attacks what isn't a threat. He doesn't waste resources on the irrelevant. The very fact that you have faced consistent opposition is evidence of divine importance. You have survived storms that should have ended you, because there is something about you that hell cannot erase. You carry a code written in the language of heaven, a spiritual signature that darkness cannot counterfeit. That is why confusion often surrounded your relationships, your finances, your peace of mind. The warfare wasn't random, it was focused. The enemy used distraction because he could not use destruction. He knew he couldn't remove the calling. So he tried to make you doubt it. If he could convince you to quit, he wouldn't need to stop you. You would stop yourself. But you didn't quit. Even when you doubted, you still prayed. Even when you felt unworthy, you still reached for God. Even when your faith felt like ashes, you whispered his name. That whisper terrified the enemy, because he knows that a chosen one who still believes after battle is a force heaven can use to shake nations. Beloved, do not despise your scars. They are not marks of defeat, but medals of endurance. Each wound has become a doorway for wisdom. Each loss has given birth to empathy. Each moment of pain has made you dangerous to darkness. You now see through deception because you've wrestled with it and survived. You've wondered why people turned against you without reason, why some smiled while secretly envying your peace. It's because light exposes what's hidden. The radiance in you convicts what's around you. You carry truth, and truth always disrupts comfort. Do not take their reactions personally. Light naturally agitates shadows. Even your moments of exhaustion were prophetic. The enemy tried to drain you because he could not defeat you. He wanted you too tired to pray, too weary to worship, too numb to care. But somehow, even in fatigue, your spirit whispered, God, he still trusts you. That single whisper has more power than all the noise of hell combined. Beloved, this is why you must not shrink back now. You have survived the phase of ignorance. Now you walk in revelation. You see the patterns, the attacks, the traps, and you have learned how to rise above them. You no longer fight like one confused. You fight like one convinced. You know that your battle is not against people, but against principalities that fear your awakening. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17, no weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord. End of Prue. That is your promise. Weapons may form, but they will not finish. Accusations may rise, but they will collapse under the weight of truth. You carry the heritage of protection, a divine warranty that guarantees victory. Beloved chosen one, the enemy saw it first. The greatness, the grace, the glow of God that rests upon you. But what he failed to see was the endurance that came with it. You were not only called, you were equipped. Every trial that tried to break you only built you. Every loss that wounded you became a lesson that armed you. You now stand wiser, sharper, stronger. You have learned to discern between distraction and direction. You know that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every silence means surrender. You understand now that the enemy's resistance is confirmation, not condemnation. Chosen one, the air feels different now. You stand at a crossroads, not a physical one, but a spiritual threshold where one choice can change the entire direction of your destiny. It is a sacred tension, a divine moment where heaven watches and waits for your next move. You can feel it in your chest, the sense that something great is near, but also that hesitation could make it fade. This is the moment of decision, the place between obedience and delay, between almost and at last, between the version of you that merely survives and the one that finally steps into purpose. You have heard enough, prayed enough, and endured enough to know that standing still any longer is no longer safe. To delay now would be to deny what heaven has been preparing you for. Beloved, you are standing in a divine intersection. One path leads back to comfort, familiarity, and control. The other leads forward into calling, faith, and surrender. One feels safe but leads to stagnation. The other feels risky but leads to revelation. Heaven is not asking you to understand the entire road, only to take the next step. This is where many fall, not in rebellion, but in hesitation. Delay becomes the enemy's weapon, disguised as wisdom. You tell yourself you're waiting on God, but often God is waiting on you. He has already opened the door, but it requires courage to walk through it. Every destiny requires a decision, and every decision requires faith. Beloved chosen one, the world you've known will not support the version of you that is about to emerge. The next chapter requires you to release what once felt essential. There are friendships, habits, and fears that cannot cross this line with you. The next step is not just about direction, it's about detachment. You cannot hold on to the old while stepping into the new. Do not let fear of failure stop you. God never demanded perfection. He asked for participation. He doesn't need flawless execution. He desires faithful obedience. The miracles you're waiting for are not delayed because of demonic interference, but because of divine hesitation within you. Heaven's resources are ready to move at the moment of your surrender. Beloved, think of the stories written in Scripture. Every transformation began with a moment like this, one obedient step that changed everything. Noah built the ark before the rain. Abraham left his homeland without a map. Moses lifted a staff before the sea split. Mary said yes before she saw the miracle. Obedience is the womb of the supernatural. The voice of God thundered in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. This day I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. Lo, that is not just ancient history, it's now. The same divine invitation echoes through your life today. Choose life. Choose the path that requires faith, the one that awakens your soul, the one that demands trust in something greater than your comfort. Beloved, heaven is not asking you to sprint, it's asking you to step. The smallest act of obedience will ripple across eternity in ways you cannot imagine. You will not see the entire staircase, but the first step will reveal the second. The moment you move, grace meets you halfway. The hesitation you feel is sacred. It proves you care about the weight of your choices. But do not confuse caution with disobedience. Faith is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. Courage is not born in ease. It's born in trembling hands that still choose obedience. You have waited long enough. You have prayed long enough. Now heaven is saying, move. Move towards healing. Move toward purpose. Move toward the unknown, where God's presence becomes your map. If you step, He will sustain. If you move, He will multiply. If you obey, He will open what no man can close. This moment is holy ground. Heaven has drawn near to watch your decision. Angels lean close, recording your response. The outcome is not about perfection, but participation. Will you move when called? Will you trust the unseen road? Beloved, chosen one. The moment of decision is not something to fear, it is something to honor. For it is in these moments that destiny is written. When you choose obedience, you are not losing control, you are aligning with divine orchestration. Chosen one. There is a whisper moving through your spirit right now, a gentle yet urgent sound that carries both mercy and warning. You are standing in a sacred moment, one that cannot be postponed. This is not just another passing feeling. It is the soft thunder of heaven echoing through your soul. The window of grace is open, but not forever. There are seasons when God's mercy stretches wide, and there are moments when He draws it close. You are living in one of those moments now, the final whisper before the shift. The call you're sensing is not emotional, it is eternal. Heaven is reaching for your heart one more time, asking not for perfection, but for surrender. You've felt it, haven't you? That quiet conviction tugging at your chest, reminding you that something must change. The Spirit has been gentle, patient, and kind, but His patience carries purpose. He's not waiting because He's unsure. He's waiting because He's merciful. Yet mercy, though endless in love, moves in seasons of opportunity. Beloved, do not mistake delay for grace. Grace is an open door, but delay can close it. The Spirit whispers before He withdraws. That is why this moment matters so deeply. It's heaven's final whisper before the shift. You stand between almost and too late, between divine alignment and divine silence. And the truth is, heaven will not chase you forever. There is something sacred in God's restraint. When He stops speaking, it's not because He's abandoned you, it's because He's already said enough. There is a holy weight in that realization that the God of creation has paused everything to reach you right now, one last time before the next season begins. The ancient words recorded in the book of Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 15, remind us of this urgency. Today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts. Today, not tomorrow. The voice of God does not echo into someday, it vibrates in the now. Every time you sense that nudge in your spirit, that stirring that says, "Return to me," that is mercy in motion. But if you ignore it long enough, you risk becoming numb to it. And numbness is more dangerous than rebellion, because at least rebellion still feels something. Beloved, chosen one. Heaven's whisper is tender, but make no mistake, it carries the weight of eternity. God is not angry with you, He is pleading for you. He sees how the world has pulled at your attention, how distraction has dulled your hunger. He sees how pain made you build walls around your heart, how disappointment made you settle for less than destiny. Yet even now, He stands at the door of your heart and knocks once more. You know this isn't coincidence. You didn't find this message by chance. Heaven orchestrated this moment because there are things that can no longer wait. You've outgrown certain patterns, outlived certain fears, and outlasted certain distractions. The time to return, to realign, to rebuild is now. But God will not force you. Love never manipulates, it invites. The choice remains yours. Mercy is standing with an outstretched hand, but it cannot walk for you. You must take the step. You must answer the whisper. Beloved, let this moment find you responsive, not resistant. The Spirit of God is not shouting. He's speaking softly so only the willing can hear. His voice comes like a breeze, not to frighten you, but to free you. It says, "Come home." It says, "You've wandered long enough." It says, "Let me heal what the world could not." And if your heart is open right now, if something deep inside you says, "This is for me," then I want you to respond with a simple act of faith. Type these 3 words in the comments. I hear you. And don't rush past it. Say it slowly, meaningfully. I hear you. Because this is more than just words. It's your soul answering back to heaven. When you write it, imagine the silence breaking. Imagine heaven smiling, saying, "Finally, they hear me again." That response, as simple as it seems, becomes your yes in the Spirit. It tells heaven that you are listening, that your heart is not hard, that your ears are still open to instruction. Beloved, chosen one. God's whispers are precious because they reveal trust. He speaks softly to those who have learned to listen deeply. And today, He has chosen to whisper to you again, not in anger, but in love, not with accusation, but with invitation. This is mercy's final whisper before movement. Hear it. Receive it. Let it stir something in you that no noise can drown. Heaven has paused everything for this conversation, not to condemn you, but to awaken you. You still have time. You still have grace. You still have purpose. And when the whisper fades, may obedience remain. Chosen one. Heaven has placed an assignment upon your life that is larger than you realize. It isn't simply about surviving or being blessed. It's about carrying light into places where hope has long since gone dim. You are not just walking through life. You are walking on a mission field disguised as ordinary days. Every encounter, every conversation, every moment of silence is a thread woven into a tapestry of divine purpose. You were not chosen to hide, you were chosen to carry. You are a living message, written not with ink, but with endurance, sealed not by words, but by the oil of perseverance. Heaven's fingerprints are on your life, and even when you can't see them, others can. You are the evidence that God still intervenes in the human story. Beloved, the weight of that assignment may feel like standing before a mountain with bare hands. But remember, mountains don't move because of strength, they move because of faith. You were not called to climb with your own power, but to speak with authority. The mountain responds not to your might, but to your belief. There are people assigned to your voice, to your story, to your light. They are wandering through darkness, waiting for a sound, a word, a sign, a spark that reminds them that heaven still sees them. You may not even know their names, but heaven does. And in the same way, you have been found by this message. Someone else is waiting to be found by yours. The Spirit reminds us through the Apostles' words in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. But to carry that light well, you must protect its flame. Distraction will try to dim it. Fear will whisper that your voice doesn't matter. Doubt will convince you that someone else can do it better. Yet none of that changes this truth. Your flame was entrusted to you for a reason. No one else has your tone, your story, your anointing. You were chosen because you fit the gap heaven needed filled. Beloved chosen one. I know you may wonder if your light is enough. The world feels dark, doesn't it? You look around and see chaos, confusion, and coldness, and you think, what can my little flame do? But have you ever watched a single candle ignite another? It doesn't lose itself in the process, it multiplies. And soon, what was once darkness becomes a field of fire. That's how light works. It doesn't compete, it completes. And that's what heaven is asking of you, to let your light flow into others, to let your story, your faith, your endurance become sparks that awaken hearts still sleeping in the shadows. Beloved, I want to speak to your hesitation. Maybe you feel unworthy, too imperfect to carry light. But light is never placed in perfect glass. It shines best through cracks. The very places you thought disqualified, you are the same places through which God's light escapes most beautifully. You don't have to fix yourself before shining. Just lift what you have and let heaven do the rest. There is power in the small acts, the soft word of encouragement, the simple prayer over someone in need, the decision to forgive instead of retaliate. Every act of love is a flicker that pushes back the night. And in this digital age, even a single click, a single share, can become a spark that travels across oceans. So if these words have found a place in your heart, if you have felt the warmth of this flame, then let it move through you. When you like, share, or subscribe, it's not just a gesture, it's an act of partnership. It's as if you're taking your candle and lighting another, ensuring that the light doesn't stop with you. Think of it this way. Every person who hears what you've heard, every heart that awakens because of your small act, becomes another city on another hill. Together, we become a constellation of faith scattered across the earth, glowing through the darkest nights. Beloved, this assignment is not about fame, it's about faithfulness. The harvest is ready, and you are one of the laborers heaven has been waiting for. The light in you is meant to travel, to touch, to transform. Let your voice echo, your flame spread, your testimony live beyond you. You are heaven's torchbearer, chosen to remind the weary that dawn still comes. So hold the flame high, not in pride, but in purpose. You have been trusted with light, and light must shine. Chosen one. You have begun to notice it, how people react when you enter a room. Some grow quiet, some grow distant, some seem unsettled without reason. It used to confuse you, even wound you. But now you are learning to see it for what it is, light meeting darkness. It is not arrogance to recognize the radiance you carry, it is awareness. The light of God within you reveals what has been hidden around you. Your presence carries weight because your spirit carries truth. And truth always exposes what is false. That is why some people can no longer remain comfortable near you. It isn't that they dislike you, it's that they cannot reconcile with what your presence reveals. You are a mirror that reflects what others have buried. You remind them, without speaking, that there is still a God who sees, still a holiness that calls, still a standard that cannot be ignored. Do not dim yourself to be tolerated. God did not ignite your spirit so that you would hide under the shade of others' comfort. You are meant to shine, not to boast, but to bless. Your radiance is not for display, it's for deliverance. Those who are ready will find healing in your presence, because what you carry is not personality, its presence. You have become a living embassy of heaven on earth. Beloved, your very existence unsettled darkness. It's why confusion tries to cling to you. It's why weariness sometimes visits you after encounters with people you are warring spiritually without even realizing it. Your light doesn't just illuminate, it confronts. When you walk into a room, spiritual climates shift, the same way dawn forces night to retreat. Your very being causes the unseen to scatter. You might not see the battle, but you've felt it, the sudden heaviness, the strange tension, the moments of inexplicable fatigue. Those are signs that your spirit is active in unseen warfare. Do not mistake it for weakness. It is evidence of your authority. Every time you worship, every time you forgive, every time you choose peace over bitterness, light expands and darkness loses territory. As the Apostle wrote in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 8, "For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light." Then, that verse does not merely describe transformation, it declares identity. You are not just in the light, you are light. You don't simply carry it as a tool, you embody it as truth. And with that identity comes responsibility to live with purity, humility, and discernment. Light exposes, but it also heals. You've seen it in the way people open up around you without knowing why. They sense safety in your presence. They confess without prompting. That is not coincidence. It is calling. God uses you as a vessel of clarity, a walking sanctuary where others glimpse His mercy. Yet, beloved, carrying this light can feel lonely. Few understand the weight of visibility, while others are free to blend into shadows. You are called to stand apart. The higher the flame, the greater the wind. But remember, wind only strengthens what's rooted in oil. The Holy Spirit sustains you when weariness whispers. Do not fear the isolation that sometimes follows illumination. It is heaven's way of drawing you deeper. You are not being punished, you are being purified. Every moment you feel unseen by the world, know that heaven is watching closely, refining your glow until it burns with steady brilliance. You must understand this mystery. Your light is not just for comfort, it is for confrontation. You are a torch in a battlefield, and your glow makes the enemy visible. That's why warfare surrounds your peace. Why discouragement attacks your joy. Why distraction fights your focus. But even when surrounded, your light holds authority. Darkness has no defense against it. It can only retreat. Beloved chosen one, do not grow weary of shining. Even when your flame flickers, it still terrifies the shadows. Even when you feel empty, your light continues to reach others. You are proof that divine fire does not depend on human strength. It burns because heaven breathes upon it. So, keep walking with quiet confidence. Let your presence continue to shift atmospheres, even when no one thanks you for it. Keep loving without fear, speaking truth without pride, forgiving without limit. You are carrying a light this world desperately needs, and though it costs much to carry, its value is eternal. The world may never fully understand you, but heaven celebrates you every time your light endures another night, another doubt, another attack. All of heaven applauds. You are not just surviving, you are shining in defiance of the dark. And in the end, light always wins. chosen one. There is a stirring happening within you, a divine awakening that can no longer be silenced. You have endured the crushing, survived the silence, and carried the light. But now, heaven is calling you into activation. The time of observation is ending. The time of movement has begun. What was once only prophecy must now become participation. This is not a season to simply receive. It is a season to release. Everything God has poured into you, the wisdom, the discernment, the endurance, the compassion was never meant to stay confined within your heart. It was meant to overflow. You are not a reservoir, you are a river. And rivers are designed to flow. You have prayed for God to use you, to reveal His purpose for your life. But beloved, the truth is, He already has. Every battle you've survived, every lesson you've learned, every tear that fell unseen, has prepared you for this very moment. Heaven is ready to move through you, not just around you. The gifts inside you are waking up because the world around you is starving for what you carry. You may not feel qualified, but that is the beauty of divine activation. God never chooses the polished. He chooses the prepared, and preparation does not always look pretty. Sometimes it looks like pain. Sometimes it looks like patience. Sometimes it looks like years of feeling unseen while heaven was sharpening your edge in secret. Beloved, the world is waiting for your obedience. There are destinies tied to your yes. The people who will find healing, hope, and restoration through your life are already positioned, but they cannot move until you do. You are the missing piece in someone's miracle. That is why you feel the stirring, that holy restlessness that refuses to let you stay comfortable. Heaven is tugging at your spirit, saying, "Now is the time." And as was spoken in the sacred texts of Romans, chapter 12, verse 11, never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. And this is your awakening call to serve, to shine, to step forward with boldness, not in pride, but in purpose, not because you are enough on your own, but because God's Spirit makes you sufficient for what lies ahead. The fire inside you is not fading, it is fueling. Every obstacle you faced was only wood for the flame that now burns brighter than ever. Below the chosen one. It's time to stop waiting for perfect conditions. Perfection was never the requirement. Obedience was. The miracle of your next season begins the moment you decide to move. Don't wait for the fear to vanish. Courage grows in motion. Don't wait for the resources to appear. Provision follows obedience. The Red Sea didn't part until Moses raised his staff. The oil didn't multiply until the widow poured what little she had. The breakthrough doesn't arrive before belief, it follows it. Heaven is calling you to activate your faith in tangible ways, to speak life where death has been declared, to build when others are breaking, to love where hate has taken root, to stand when others have bowed. This is not performance, this is purpose. God has anointed you not just to endure darkness, but to disrupt it. And beloved, I know the thought of stepping out may frighten you, but fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal that what you're approaching matters. Fear often guards the doors that lead to destiny. When you feel afraid, it means you're close to breakthrough. Don't run from it, walk through it. Now, as a prophetic act of agreement, something simple but significant, I invite you to type the number 444 inches the comments. You've never used this number before, but heaven recognizes it as a symbol of alignment, of divine stability. 4 is the number of foundations: the north, south, east, and west. When repeated, it represents completion and establishment. By writing 444, you are declaring, I am aligned. I am established. I am ready to be activated. It's not superstition, it's symbolism, a visible echo of your invisible faith. Every number typed is like a key turning in the lock of your next season. Heaven pays attention to obedience in small things. What seems like a simple action carries spiritual significance because it represents agreement. When your fingers move in obedience, your spirit follows. When your spirit agrees, heaven responds. Beloved, this is your moment to step into divine momentum. You are not waiting for a move of God, you are a move of God. Every place your foot touches, every word that leaves your mouth, every prayer whispered in faith, heaven recognizes it as movement. The waiting season refined you. The warfare trained you. The silence grounded you. But now, the call is clear. Activate, speak, move, build, shine. Heaven has already prepared the way. You simply need to walk it. You don't need a stage to serve, only a surrendered heart. You don't need applause to matter, only alignment with God's will. Beloved chosen one, the time for hesitation is over. You are anointed, appointed, and ready. You've been carried long enough. It's time to carry others. Heaven is counting on your courage. So step forward. Say yes. Type 444, not as a routine, but as revelation, your silent shout that says, I'm ready. Lord, use me. Chosen one. Before every rising comes a burning. You have felt that fire lately, the kind that doesn't destroy but purifies, the kind that consumes what cannot stay, so that only what is holy remains. This is the cleansing fire of God, and though it has scorched the surface of your comfort, it is refining the depths of your soul. Every chosen one must walk through this season. It is the sacred furnace where intentions are tested, attachments are exposed, and impurities are revealed. You cannot carry yesterday's weight into tomorrow's calling. What you're feeling is not punishment, it's purification. God is burning away the unnecessary so that you may move freely into what's next. You have prayed for new levels, but new levels require lighter loads. Heaven cannot place fresh oil on an unpurged vessel, so the fire comes not as judgment, but as mercy. It is heaven's way of removing what you would have never released on your own. People, habits, fears, and even blessings that once served a purpose may now begin to fade, not because they were evil, but because they've expired. Beloved, this is why some things have started breaking around you. What you thought was stability was actually stagnation. God is shaking the foundations not to frighten you, but to free you. When gold is refined, it passes through intense heat. The fire reveals what is genuine by burning away what is false. You are that gold, beloved, precious, radiant, eternal. The prophet Zechariah wrote of this divine process in chapter 13, verse 9. I will bring that group through the fire and make them pure. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, They are my people, and they will say, "The Lord is our God." And that's why certain prayers seemed unanswered. It's not that heaven ignored you, it's that heaven knew the fire still had work to do. You cannot pour living water into a vessel that still carries the residue of bitterness, fear, or pride. And though you've been frustrated by delay, the truth is, delay has been your protection. God has refused to let you step into something that would burn you before you were ready to carry it. The fire is not against you, it is for you. It is not your enemy, it is your escort into purity. It burns what was never meant to define you, leaving only what truly reflects His image. Think of it this way: the fire is heaven's surgery, painful, precise, but healing in purpose. It cuts to cure. There have been moments when you felt like everything was falling apart, but it was really falling into place. The friendships that drifted, the doors that closed, the desires that faded, each one was God's gentle way of saying, "This can't go where you're going. You are being uncluttered so that destiny has room to dwell." Beloved, I know this season has felt heavy. You've asked, why does it hurt so much to grow? It's because growth always involves separation from who you were, from what you knew, from where you've been comfortable. The seed must split before it sprouts. The cocoon must tear before the butterfly can fly. Transformation always costs something, but what it gives in return is priceless. When the fire finishes its work, you will notice a stillness inside, a new kind of peace that doesn't depend on understanding. It's the peace of someone who has survived the flame and discovered that the fire doesn't destroy what's real, it reveals it. You will rise lighter, clearer, purer. Your words will carry new power because they'll come from a heart that has been purified by pain and proven faithful in pressure. And when others look at you, they won't just see survival, they'll see sanctification. You will radiate the calm of someone who has walked through fire and learned that even in the furnace, God is still near. Like the three who stood in the flames in ancient Babylon, you too will walk out without the smell of smoke, proof that what tried to consume you only confirmed you. Beloved chosen one, let the fire do its work. Don't resist what's meant to refine. The pain is temporary. The purity is eternal. Every flicker of discomfort is a spark of transformation. You are not being undone, you are being unveiled. So, breathe through the burning, trust the heat, and when the flames subside, you'll see it clearly. The reflection staring back will not be of someone broken, but of someone reborn, chosen one. The fire has done its work. The ashes have settled. And now something quiet, yet powerful, is rising from within you. It is the calm after the storm, the stillness that follows surrender. You are stepping into visibility, not because you demanded it, but because heaven has decided it is time. What was once hidden in the shadows of waiting is now being unveiled in the light of purpose. You may not feel different yet, but the shift has already begun. The same way dawn doesn't need permission to appear after night. Your rising doesn't need validation from anyone. It simply happens because heaven has declared it so. You have spent years being refined, reshaped, and redefined. The season of concealment was necessary, but now the covering is lifting. You are stepping into the reveal. And do you sense it? That subtle but certain change in the atmosphere. The doors that once refused to open now begin to respond to your presence. The same places where you once felt overlooked now feel drawn to your voice. What changed is not the world around you, it's the authority within you. The crushing has produced oil, and oil always attracts purpose. Beloved, this is not the rising of pride, it is the rising of assignment. You are not being elevated for display, but for duty. You are being positioned where your story will serve others, where your scars will speak louder than your words. The world doesn't need more perfection, it needs authenticity, drenched in grace. And you, beloved, are becoming that very example. As David once wrote in the Psalms, chapter 75, verse 6, "For promotion comes neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But God is the judge. He brings one down and exalts another." And your rising is not man-made. It is God ordained. No algorithm, no title. No human approval could have orchestrated this moment. Heaven itself has chosen to announce you, and when heaven reveals, no one can conceal. But understand this, beloved, the rising comes with responsibility. To rise in God's order is not to climb above others, but to stoop lower in service. The higher you go, the deeper you must love. The louder your voice becomes, the softer your heart must remain. Humility is the currency that sustains divine promotion. You are being called to walk among others, not as a celebrity of faith, but as a carrier of compassion. You will find that those who are drawn to your light are often those wounded by darkness. The very people who once rejected you will begin to seek you for guidance, and you will respond not with bitterness, but with mercy, because the fire that purified you also softened you. Beloved, your rising is not for applause, it is for assignment. You are the answer to someone's silent prayer. The words you speak, the peace you carry, the patience you practice, all will become medicine for weary hearts. God has entrusted you with visibility because He trusts your integrity. You have proven that you will not turn the platform into an idol. Do not fear the attention. Let it be a mirror that reflects heaven, not a spotlight that glorifies self. Remember, even the sun does not shine to boast, it shines to bring life. So will you. Your light will draw those lost in shadows back to warmth, back to grace, back to God. There will be moments when the old doubts whisper again, "Who am I to be seen?" But answer them with truth. I am one whom God has chosen to reveal. You are not rising because you earned it. You are rising because obedience made you ready. Beloved, the rising of the chosen is not an event, it's a revelation. It is the unveiling of what heaven planted long ago. Every struggle, every delay, every tear was a chisel in the sculptor's hand, shaping the vessel now, ready to carry His glory. So stand tall, not in pride, but in peace. The world will begin to notice your light, but heaven has already celebrated it. You will step into rooms your past could never have entered, yet your spirit will remain anchored in humility. And as you rise, remember you do not climb alone. Your obedience becomes a ladder for others. Your breakthrough becomes their blueprint. You are not the destination, you are the direction. You point others back to the one who lifted you, below the chosen one. The rising is here. The waiting is over. The unveiling has begun. You are no longer hidden. You are commissioned. And from this moment forward, the world will see not just who you are, but whose you are, chosen one. There comes a moment when every crown must remember the cross, when glory and suffering, joy and sacrifice are seen not as opposites but as companions. You are entering that sacred balance now, the place where purpose meets price. The anointing you carry is royal. But every crown in heaven's kingdom is first forged in humility and pain. You've endured the wilderness, the silence, the fire, and now you stand adorned with grace. Yet, God reminds you gently, the crown is not decoration, it's delegation. You wear it not for recognition, but for responsibility. The weight you feel upon your spirit is not just honor, it's the pull of heaven reminding you that power without surrender becomes pride. The crown represents favor, but the cross represents faithfulness, and both are needed. The crown gives you visibility, the cross keeps you humble. The crown draws people to you, the cross draws you closer to God. You cannot separate them. Beloved, they were meant to coexist in the life of every chosen one. There will be days when the world applauds you, when your words seem to carry more power than ever before. And on those days, remember the one who lifted you from dust to destiny. Remember that every platform is an altar, and every audience is an opportunity to serve. True greatness does not stand above others, it stoops to wash feet in silence. Beloved, the temptation of the crown is to believe the story ends with your victory. But heaven's story always continues through your service. You are not at the finish line, you are at the beginning of your greatest assignment. The oil upon your life was never meant for decoration. It was meant for distribution. The apostle reminds us in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 10, we always carry around in our body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may all be revealed in us. That is the paradox of divine calling, to carry life. You must also carry the memory of the cross. It is not a burden to crush you, but a compass to guide you. Every chosen one must walk through seasons of dying to self, so that Christ can fully live through them. Beloved, I know you have dreamed of rest after so much testing, but what you are walking into now is holy responsibility. Heaven is entrusting you with souls, not spotlight with influence, not image. The hearts that will listen to you are fragile, and the world around them is loud. You are called to be a whisper of truth in the noise. Think of yourself as a bridge. Bridges are never built for themselves. They exist for others to cross safely. Your story, your scars, your victories, all of it becomes a pathway for others to find hope. But remember, bridges are walked on to carry others. You must be strong enough to handle their weight without resentment. That strength, beloved, comes from intimacy with God. Every crown needs an anchor, and your anchor is still the cross. Keep returning there, not out of guilt, but out of gratitude. Let His presence remind you that without Him, you are just a vessel of dust. With Him, you are a vessel of destiny. And now, as this word finds you, I want to speak to the part of you that feels both awe and trembling. It's natural. Even Jesus felt the strain of His assignment, but as He carried the cross, He looked beyond it to the joy set before Him. That joy is what sustained Him, and it is what will sustain you too, beloved chosen one. The world needs what you carry. If this message has stirred something deep within you, if you feel the holy weight of this reminder, then let this moment become a small act of reflection and connection. When you like, share, and subscribe, it isn't just support, it's seed. Every interaction becomes a ripple, that carries this message into hearts you may never meet. It's as if you're extending your hand, helping another weary traveler lift their own cross and remember that they, too, are chosen. Imagine your click as a candle lighting another. Imagine your comment as a stone laid upon the path for others to follow. This is how we build one light, one word, one act of faith at a time. And if this word has found its way into the deep parts of you, I invite you to leave a simple comment below. Share what it means to carry your own crown and cross. Your words may become the balm another soul has been praying for. Beloved, never forget, the cross did not cancel the crown, it confirmed it. The pain was not proof of failure, it was preparation for glory. You are walking proof that grace wears both a thorn and a jewel. So lift your head, not in pride, but in purpose. You are crowned. Yes, but you are also called, and the world will know who you serve by how you carry both. Chosen one. The air around you feels different now. The atmosphere carries the scent of fulfillment, the quiet sweetness that comes after long obedience. You may not have noticed it, but heaven has begun to unfold promises that once felt distant. The things you prayed for through tears are now beginning to take shape before your eyes. What was once a word in waiting has become a word in motion. This is the season of prophecy fulfilled, not because you forced it, not because you deserved it, but because divine timing has finally caught up with your faith. Heaven's calendar never moves early or late. It moves exactly when your heart is ready to handle the weight of what you asked for. Beloved, you have endured seasons of silence, disappointment, and delay. Yet not one of those days was wasted. Every unanswered prayer became a seed planted in time. And now, as the rains of favor begin to fall, those seeds are breaking through the soil. What once seemed barren is beginning to bloom. You have lived through years that felt like questions. Now, you are walking into answers. But notice this, the answers don't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes they come softly, like dawn breaking after a long night. You look up one morning, and what you thought was still far away has already arrived. This is how God fulfills His promises with quiet certainty, not noisy drama. The ancient words found in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, still echo across time. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not delay. Beloved, the appointed time is not something you can rush. It's not marked by clocks, but by readiness. Every prophecy spoken over your life carries its own due date, written not on paper, but on your growth. When you became the version of yourself that could sustain the promise, heaven released it. And so, what you are witnessing now is not random favor, it is alignment. All the fragments of your journey, all the broken pieces you thought were useless, are being assembled into divine order. The lessons learned in pain are becoming pillars of wisdom. The people you met in hardship are turning into allies in purpose. Everything that once felt meaningless is finding its meaning in the masterpiece. But hear this. Beloved, prophecy fulfilled does not mean the absence of struggle. Even blessings have weight. The same grace that brings the promise also requires stewardship. You must now protect what you prayed for, not through fear, but through faithfulness. What you built through tears must now be maintained through discipline. Remember, answered prayers are not the end, they are new beginnings. When Abraham received Isaac, the promise was not complete, it was tested. When Joseph reached the palace, the dream was not over, it became responsibility. When David was crowned, his calling deepened. You, too, are stepping into a stage where fulfillment meets faithfulness. Beloved, heaven does not fulfill prophecy to prove its power. It fulfills prophecy to display partnership. Every miracle is a collaboration between divine sovereignty and human obedience. God initiates, but you must continue what He begins. You sustain through worship, humility, and perseverance. And as you walk in this season, you will notice something profound. Peace will replace striving. You no longer have to chase what was already assigned to you. Doors will open naturally. Conversations will align effortlessly. Provision will appear in ways that confirm, not confuse your path. You have entered the flow of divine rhythm, where striving ceases and surrender leads. Still, don't be surprised if you feel a quiet ache amid the blessings. It's not emptiness, it's expansion. Every fulfilled promise enlarges your capacity to believe for more. The God who completed one word over your life is already preparing the next. This is how faith grows from glory to glory, from answered prayer to greater calling. Beloved, pause and breathe in this truth. You are standing in the middle of what you once begged for. Do not rush past the miracle because you've grown used to survival. Take a moment to recognize the fingerprints of God on your current reality. Gratitude is the key that keeps the door of blessing open. And when you feel the urge to question what's next, remember, this prophecy doesn't end in fulfillment, it evolves. The same voice that spoke yesterday's promise is still speaking new assignments today. The story of your obedience continues. You are not at the end, you are at a beginning wrapped in completion. The prophecy fulfilled is heaven's way of saying, you are ready, and what is ready cannot be denied. Chosen one, listen closely. The final word is not an ending, but a sealing. Heaven always finishes what it begins. And now the same hand that wrote your story in hidden ink brings it to completion in light. This is not the last chapter of your journey, but the moment heaven stamps it with divine confirmation. You are chosen, and you have been faithful. You have walked through valleys where prayers seemed to dissolve into silence. You have climbed mountains that left you breathless. You have known loss, confusion, and the ache of waiting. Yet through it all, you never truly fell. You were carried. God was never absent. Even when invisible, His presence wrapped around you like air, unseen, yet essential. Every struggle became a sentence in the testimony now etched into your spirit. You carry the evidence of endurance, the mark of one who did not quit, even when quitting looked like peace. And now, heaven whispers the words you have longed to hear. It was all worth it. You see, beloved, the story was never about comfort. It was about becoming. God was not merely answering your prayers, He was shaping your soul. What you have become in the process is far more precious than anything you gained along the way. You have grown from believer to bearer, from receiver of light to reflector of it. The time has come to understand what chosen truly means. It is not a title to boast of, but a posture to live in. To be chosen is to be entrusted with divine responsibility, to carry grace into places still dark, to love even when it costs you comfort. It is to forgive what others hold on to see hope where others see endings, and to keep walking even when you cannot yet see the path. You have become that kind of vessel, sturdy, tested, and ready. You no longer tremble before storms because you have learned who commands the wind. You no longer fear delay because you have discovered that divine timing is protection. You no longer question your worth because heaven has already affirmed it. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 16, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last." No, you will not need to shout to be heard. Your presence will speak. The same peace that once felt so distant will now flow through you, healing others who are still waiting for theirs. The authority you carry will not come from position, but from purity. You have been refined by honesty, humility, and fire, and that combination cannot be manufactured, only lived. Beloved, chosen one, heaven's final word over you is not a command, it is a confirmation. You have been sealed by purpose. The battles that nearly broke you were actually the gates that proved you. The pain that made you question God was the very classroom where you learned his heart. The waiting that felt endless was heaven's way of stretching eternity inside your mortal frame. Now, you carry something immortal: faith that does not falter, love that does not waver, and peace that cannot be stolen. You have become what heaven intended all along, a living testimony of redemption. The world will see the strength, but heaven will see the surrender behind it. They will see the glow, but heaven will remember the nights that built it. You will walk with a quiet authority, the kind that doesn't demand attention, but naturally commands it because divine favor always finds its own spotlight. And when you doubt again, as all humans do, remember this truth: what God chooses, he keeps. What he anoints, he sustains. What he begins, he completes. You are not an unfinished work, you are an unfolding masterpiece. Every breath you take from this moment forward is another line of grace being written into eternity. So walk on, beloved, not as one still searching, but as one who has found. The final word has been spoken, and it echoes through heaven and earth alike. You are chosen, and you are ready. Chosen one. If you have walked with me through every word of this journey, then heaven bears witness you are no longer who you were when we began. You have been refined, reminded, and reawakened. The weight you carried has turned into wisdom, and the tears you shed have watered seeds of divine strength. This message was never just spoken to you, it was spoken for you. You are living proof that God still raises voices out of silence, still lifts hearts from ashes, still crowns the broken with purpose. You have seen yourself in every page of this revelation, and that was heaven's intention all along, to hold a mirror before your spirit until you finally recognized your reflection in divine light. Beloved, if this word has touched the deepest corners of your soul, let it not stop here. Every act of faith, every like, every share, every moment you subscribe is not about numbers, it's about ripples. You are helping light find another heart still lost in the dark. Somewhere, right now, a weary soul is scrolling through despair, waiting to stumble upon the same reminder that just found you. Think of it as passing the flame forward. When you engage, you are not merely supporting a message, you are spreading ministry. You are saying to heaven, use me too. And before you go, leave your mark below. Comment, what part of this journey spoke to you most? Your words may become the confirmation someone else desperately needs tomorrow. Beloved chosen one. The story continues, not with endings, but with echoes. You are not the audience. You are the message now. Carry it. Live it. Share it, and let the world see what heaven already knows. The chosen still rise.